On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, what to do after a storm. So, welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Sean Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I have with us remote your financial coach, George Curbelo. How you doing, George?
Sean, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. But doing
And good
good,
night.
man. And good night. No, but doing extremely well. As we're gonna talk about surviving, Florida weather. That's that seems to be what we're trying to do here. But doing extremely well. Family's safe. Everybody's doing well.
Okay, good. Yeah. So that's and on my end as well. So for those of you listening, we are recording this literally the Friday morning after Hurricane Helene came through. Now, it for those outside the state of Florida, really the only impact to the Tampa Bay area
Right.
was storm surge and flooding. And I have heard horror stories, and I have seen Facebook horror stories of friends of mine that had water 2 and 3 feet high inside their house. So that was the major damage here in the Tampa Bay area. Not a lot of wind damage, not a lot of rain damage. I mean, to the extent there was maybe damage to the outside of the house, it was probably where the wind uprooted a tree or knocked off a branch or something like that. But where I live, kind of same as you, George. No issues here, no flooding, no. We kept power all night. That's the other
Yeah.
thing that I hear is that there's a lot of places
Yeah.
in the Tampa Bay area that don't have power.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think the last I saw, there were like millions throughout the region that was impacted. Again, obviously when you're direct hit, a lot of those folks in the panhandle were affected. But we had those outer rings were pretty, I mean, they said 200 miles kind of wide or something like that. It was a pretty big storm.
It it
So we
was
had
it
those
was
bands.
it was big and it was moving quick, and
Yeah.
I think it made landfall like 9, 10 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
And even as of I think 6 or 7 o'clock this morning, I was still feeling some of the wind from
Yeah.
the back end of the storm as it came through the bay. But so I thought, what a good topic to talk about is what the heck do you do after a storm? Now, before I get there, I do want to talk about our sponsor, Magic Mind. The code for Magic Mind is magicmind.com/crushing20. And that is the code that you can use to get 20% off your first order. Um, I understand that Magic Mind wants to renew with us, so I'm very happy about that.
That's great.
However, that will then create a change in the link and the coupon code. So
Okay.
be aware for that in the coming episodes. However, I have my stock of Magic Mind. I
Yep.
remember taking my Magic Mind yesterday as I was preparing for the storm, and it got me focused and it gave me some energy to go ahead and clean up my back patio, take everything off the back patio so it wouldn't be flying around in the neighbors' houses. Help me focus on what I needed to do. I went around the house and I took pictures and videos and documented everything from
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
house. And yeah, thank you, Magic Mind, for helping me prepare for Hurricane
Well,
Helene.
I took mine. It wasn't really for hurricane prep. I took mine just so that I can. I had a lot of meetings with clients. There was a lot of work that I needed to do from a business standpoint. So it was kind of, and I was feeling a little sluggish. Just like, okay, we'll get through it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then, I just like, okay, let me take the shot. Again, and it gives me that pick me up. Again, I don't drink coffee. So coffee is, I don't go for those kind of quick. And the caffeine hit is good, but it's not long lasting. So I was like, okay, let's take the shot. Let's enjoy the kind of the morning. And I was able to, again, just that focus, that slide of energy without the crash. That's basically what I'm doing, and I love it. Love it when I take it, and I love the way I feel, and in the sense of just being able to feel good, energized, and ready to perform the task that I'm looking to do. So appreciate, definitely, if you haven't tried it, I'd say, give yourself a try. You'll surprise yourself. So
Yeah, yeah. So I did have an episode I recorded with our friend Rich Fika
hmm
way back at the beginning of the podcast. Episode 69 was tips from Rich about
yeah,
how to prepare for a storm. Well, what I realized is we haven't done a show that talks about what to do after the storm passes. So I thought that might be a good topic to discuss today.
I,
So
I love it. A lot of times, here's the thing, it's always good to be proactive, be prepared, have everything set up. But then, there's a lot of people today that are, again, without power, that they have water damage, they have damage to the house or to the place that they're staying. And the question is, what do you do? In those
yeah,
situations, I'd imagine, I mean, my wife gets crazy when we're like the threat of losing power. Imagine, imagine that there's, damage and issues that you have with the home. What do you do next? So I
I
think I think that's got to be something to think about for sure.
I saw a meme on Facebook that said Floridians aren't scared of a hurricane. Floridians are scared about losing power in 90-degree weather with 100% humidity.
That's what she had mentioned. She was like, "But what if we lose power for more than a day?" And I'm like, "It's okay. You open the window. We can survive. We can
Right.
survive from." But I think a lot of people in Florida, you're right. It's like, God forbid, your car air conditioning goes out, let alone what you're doing in the house. But yeah,
Although the way, so here's the way my budget mind thinks of it is that if the power goes out for 2 days, that's a reduction in the electric
Yeah,
bill
I'll
the next
take I'll
month.
take I'll take the savings. Sure, no problem. Yeah, I don't think our family members would agree with us on that one. It's like, yeah, you budget schmudget. Go get me, make sure
Yeah,
you
go
have the
get me air
get the
conditioning.
generator going, please.
So my parents and my sister and niece live in Tallahassee, and
Yep.
so
You
my
okay?
sister and my niece evacuated to Dothan. I think Dothan, Alabama. There might be a Dothan, Georgia. I don't remember, but they evacuated to Dothan to
Okay.
uh, stay with one of my sister's friends from like when we grew up. My
Awesome.
parents stayed in Tallahassee. Now their house is new construction. At least when they bought it, however many years ago, it was new
Sure.
construction. So presumably it kept up with hurricane code, and they have a whole house generator. So even if they had lost power, they have the whole house generator that kicks in to power,
Nice.
what they need. I haven't talked to them yet as we record this morning, but I did get a note from my sister. She's talked to them; they're okay. So
Good.
um, I'll still kind of assess, friends of mine that live in Tallahassee and whatnot. But for the most part, everybody's okay. But I agree with you. I mean, if you want to listen to that episode 69, and I'll post the link in the notes to on what to do pre-storm, and then we'll have this post to do post-storm. But I agree with you. I mean, first assess the damage. If
Yep.
if you if you can clean up, go ahead and clean up. If you can't clean up, hey, take a staycation to a hotel or something.
Right.
Don't stay where it's not safe. Don't stay where you're going to be trapped. If you need to leave, there's no problem with leaving, and the damage will still be there when you get back. It's fine. But the first thing that I thought of was you want to call your insurance company and you want to make a claim on your insurance company. So hopefully, if you're a renter, you have renter's insurance. If you're a
Yep.
homeowner, you have to have homeowner's insurance. So call your insurance agent, call your insurance company, make a claim. And if you had documented everything that you owned prior to the storm, it should be real easy just to send them pictures and hopefully they send you a check. If they don't send you a check,
Right.
that's where we get the public adjusters involved, and that's where I've got attorney friends of mine that will help homeowners that don't get paid out a fair amount from their insurance policies.
Makes sense. Let me expand on your, assessment, right? The assessing of the immediate needs. I would agree with you. Safety first. We always talk about, when we talk about, make sure you prioritize safety for your family, for yourself. And we're spending. What's our spending at that point? You're spending on food, water, either medicines and shelter, making sure,
Right.
again, staycation, we do where you need to go. Totally makes sense. This is where your emergency fund comes into play. If you have an emergency fund, this is where you start to shine. You start showing off. Oh, you see, this is what I was able to do. The importance of the emergency fund. These would be a moment for, you use your emergency fund to be able to, I would say, buy yourself time, but really just, address those immediate needs that we're talking about.
I think
You
what
have,
I would do, yeah, I
yeah.
think what I would do is use my emergency fund and buy a generator. Um,
Is
and
that
plug
emergency
in.
though?
Well, so here's my thought though. I would buy the generator to plug in the refrigerator, because how many hundreds of dollars of groceries do we have in our refrigerator and freezer
Yeah.
that, if now one thing that I do when I prep for a storm is I fill up a bunch of water bottles
Yep.
and I put them in the freezer to freeze,
Keep
so
them
that if I
from, yep.
lose power, I can take those now blocks of ice and put them in the fridge to help keep stuff cold.
You got it.
But
Good.
I think the first thing I would do is plug in my refrigerator just to save all the frozen food I have. If not, then that's that. I'm firing up the green egg. We're having a party. We're having a blowout
There you
feast.
go. You got a lot of food to you know what make sure. I mean, here's the thing: buying a generator, if we're in a big storm, it's probably hard to find a generator at the time
Yeah,
after the fact. So that's more of a proactive approach. But I agree with you there. If you're in that moment where proactively you're trying to be prepared for the storm, if the emergency if fund is there, that could be an item that you can deem an emergency to be able to say, I'm going to get the generator in prep for.
right.
I would agree with you if it home. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. I think after the fact, a lot of times you're not finding those because again, I think everybody has the same idea, but I definitely would say include that as a beforehand. But I like the idea. I like what you're going for in regards to the again the use of the emer. Is it emergency? It depends on you. I'm not here to judge. Remember, so
Yeah,
I would
I,
say it's your choice.
like I said, I think it's an emergency only because it would cost me what, 400, $500 to replace
Yeah,
all of the food in my freezer and refrigerator. So from that perspective, you're saving yourself some money. Now I get it. You don't want to buy $1,000 generator to save
right,
$200 in groceries.
right. Although
But
that we can justify that purchase too.
yeah, I mean, because then you can plug in your phone, you can plug
Right.
in, fans to circulate air, you can plug in, the internet to make sure
Yeah,
that you can, stream and whatnot.
correct.
So, yeah. So that's I agree. I
I like
think
that.
the other thing that I would do is start calling restoration companies. Now,
Hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily hire anybody until you make sure that insurance is or is not going to cover.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I know a couple of people that own restoration companies, and I am sure this is their this is their Christmas right now. This is
Yeah,
their
this
time
is
to
where
shine right
they
now.
shine, right? This is when they make their value to the communities and to the yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, this is where they're going to make their
Hmm.
annual projections. Um, but
That's a business way of saying things, but yes,
right.
I would agree on that for sure.
Now, if you're in a situation where it's urgent and you need to get stuff fixed, then I wouldn't necessarily worry about insurance. But I would say call the restoration company at least to start to get on their calendars.
Calendar, yeah, because you know
Um,
it's going to be busy. They're going to be packed. They're going to be
right.
very. There's some companies itself, especially the good ones, that will not be available because they're going to be packed with jobs. So that totally makes sense. I think
Yeah.
the one thing you had mentioned in regards to filing your insurance claims, the one thing you want to do too is you got to be careful on rushing some of those repairs, because again, if you're beginning some of those repairs before those claims come into effect, it could have a way, it could have an impact where it could complicate
Right.
the claim itself. So it's one of those things. I agree. Before you have mentioned, document everything, your photos, your insurance. If you didn't do it, you do it beforehand for sure. I think you need to be proactive on that. But obviously, you want to do it after the fact. Where did the tree land? Is the fence up? Is there shingle off place? Those kind of pictures, the before and after pictures can really also lessen any complication when it comes to those claims as well. That's for me, insurances, as much as we love them and we love the idea, they're not as easy to pay out. They're not as willing to pay out. So it's for you doing your homework is imperative before and after the fact. Pictures tell a big story, and you know how it is, right? So just take those pictures, document, keep those receipts, do what's necessary to be able to get the support and help without the complications that follow it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Wait for the insurance company. But if it's something that you can't wait, you got to do what you got to do. But
True.
to the extent you can, wait for the insurance company. But then I think the main thing, the main tip, at least from you and me,
Yeah.
call your bank. If so, this storm hit on September 27th.
Yeah.
If this were a scenario where um, you don't have access to your online banking, you don't have access
Yeah.
to getting access to your money, you can't get to the bank and go to the ATM, you can't do any of that stuff.
Sure.
Call your creditors, call your bank, and some of them may give you an extension of the due date before they charge you a late charge. If it's serious enough, if it's a scenario here where I ran my business out of my house and my house is flooded and I can't run my business, so I can't make any money, some of them may give you a forbearance period.
True.
Now, the thing to remember about a forbearance is it doesn't keep the loan current. So if you take 2, 3 months off paying your mortgage, when that forbearance ends, the bank's going to want a 3 month chunk. So it's really just giving you some breathing room while you can get your cash flow under control. But they may modify your loan. I mean, I've already
Right.
gotten messages and texts from my mortgage company saying, "Hey, we want to make sure everything's okay." So they may offer you modifications, they may reduce interest, they may change payment dates, they may
Yeah.
waive late charges. I would definitely say call the bank and talk to the bank about what your options are if you can or can't pay.
Totally
Um,
agree.
yeah, if it's
I,
serious, go
I
ahead.
would agree with you there, man. I think a lot of times we think, we're on an island and there's no one there to support us. But I think it's a good, especially when you're thinking about it too, is it the day after but you definitely want to have those conversations because we're going to get into that. Well, oh my God, it's right. It's the 27th of the month. Most of us will have to pay the mortgage or the rent or any of those kind of things in the next few days. And if we're not in that position or something is preventing us from doing that, first calls, obviously with insurance claims, things like that. But yeah, I would agree. Banks should be there. Your renting company or your any of those kind of things. Those are the contacts. Those are the people you want to reach out to make sure you kind of like, hey, what options do I have because of the fact that I'm kind of going through something, and I need some time to be able to recover from this event.
Right. So definitely keep in contact with your bank. I did pull up an article. It's not really what I was looking for, but it's on the CFPB website, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau website.
Right.
It says 9 financial problems after a natural disaster and what can you do about them.
Okay.
Number one, some people didn't know that their accounts were going to collection. I don't know because if
How far into it? Yeah.
yeah, if the storm is what caused you to miss that fourth payment,
Yeah.
the bank may not be too willing to help you. Maybe they do. It still doesn't hurt to
Yeah.
to call and reach out. The worst the bank can say is no. Number two, some people thought that when they contacted their lender or servicer for a loan deferral or suspension, the payments would automatically be added to the end of the loan, and they were
Right.
surprised when the
That's
payments became suddenly due.
yeah.
That's the forbearance
That's
issue
the
that I was
forbearance.
talking about.
You need to know what the terms are and make sure you truly understand. Is it a lump sum payment or is it a restructuring of the loan? So yeah, I would agree on that one too. Great.
Yeah, and then I think two of these here are kind of related. One of them says some people had trouble paying contractors they hired because their insurance check was being held by their bank or mortgage servicer. And then the last point here in this article is people affected by natural disasters can sometimes become targets for fraud. And so I would
Yes.
kind of lump those two together. On the one hand, yeah, if the check you're waiting for from the insurance company is to repair the house, you definitely need to be coordinating with the insurance company and the bank because
Yep.
the way the bank is going to issue the check is going to be to you and the bank, and possibly the public adjuster and
Yeah.
possibly the attorney for the public adjuster
Right.
or for you. So you definitely want to be in communication with the bank to make sure the checks get issued properly. But at the same time, now that we've had a storm roll through, we're probably all going to start to get the door knockers that say, "Hey, let me look at your roof. Maybe your
Right.
roof needs to be replaced." So be careful of that type of fraud. Be careful of people knocking on the door saying, "We can help you make an insurance claim." Definitely be careful about texts or calls that you get that are quote from the lender. Typically with that kind of stuff, what I'll do is I'll say, great, I'll hang up, and then I'll call the bank
Call. Yeah.
directly.
Yeah.
And if I can get back to the same department or the same person, then I know it was it was legit.
Yeah. I
Um,
love the again, I love where you're coming from itself. So we're seeking assistance. We're trying to get in from, the support and help we're needing. Financial pausing like some of our non-essential commitments, right? So some of those kind of things. And we're in that boat too. I would add like prioritizing your expenses. If there's certain money before we get any assistance from insurance or anything like that, we may need to prioritize to keep us in another shelter, keep us food, keep us whatever that might be. So these are the adjustments you wanna kind of make as we're part of that. And I totally agree. Be cautious of scams. As much as people prey on, the unfortunate when it comes to these situations, and you need to make sure that you're not being scammed when it comes to support, help, adjusters or insurance companies or someone who's claiming to be there to help you and not realize that they're out to just really be malicious with their actions. So these are all great things to really focus on. And really, it's funny how you're thinking like, oh, I just need to hunker down and make sure my house doesn't blow away. But then I always, we still got to adult. And here's some of the
right.
other adult things we have to make sure we kind of do as part of these, as part of this prep and addressing some of the issues after the fact as well. But man, never easy, man.
No,
This
never
adulting thing,
easy.
very overrated. Very
So
overrated, this adulting thing.
yeah, it's I give it 1 star. I want a refund. So one other point here in this article, some people found that they still owed money on their auto loans even after their car was declared a total loss by their insurance company.
Interesting. Okay.
You want to make sure that your insurance company is paying off your car, and to the extent the car isn't paid off,
Yep.
you still owe that money. So again, check with your insurance company, check with the car company. There's ways to work that stuff out. Some people impacted by natural disasters reported that their um, accounts became overdrawn. And the reason here
Yeah.
is because electrical blackouts and flooding can make it hard to send payments on time or stop automatic payments, which can lead to overdraft fees. So again,
Mm.
it's that communication with the
Just
bank.
keeping. Yep. Yep.
And again, I would also, kind of rely on friends. I mean, I know that I've already sent messages out to some of my BNI chapter and some of
Yeah.
the other
Just
groups I'm
reaching
in
out.
that have said, hey, if you guys are without power, I've got power. You're welcome to come over and
Come
use
on
my
over.
Wi-Fi, and
Yeah.
we'll barbecue, and we'll have a good time networking. So, rely on friends, rely on neighbors. I think now is the kind of the time that my faith in humanity sometimes gets restored with people helping out.
Yeah. And I think we just, kind of lend that olive branch or extend the olive branch, lending that helping hand. It's one of those kind of things that, we want to make sure that if we were ever in that situation, that we would get that support and help. It's always your opportunity to be able to extend that and be that helping hand for others during that time of need as well. So I
Right.
would agree. You have the faith. We're trying to restore the faith in humanity, because I know it can be ugly out there, but we want to make sure that we're helping each other out in these times of needs. I mean,
Yeah.
the other thing that I would emphasize in all of this, so obviously we had a lot of practical but and tips and how to, what to look out for. There's an emotional toll when it comes to these types of disasters as well. So just making sure, like, it's obviously managing your finances is going to be one thing, but managing ourselves, during these times as well, making sure that we're not too, it's a stressful time, but trying to like be grateful that everyone's safe, be grateful that we still have our health. We've got, we've have what we need to be able to get the help and to provide the support. So I think, obviously just keep an eye on that emotional, the emotional side of the disaster itself, or of the aftermath of the storm. So I think I think we acknowledge that it's going to be a stressful time. Take the moment to kind of meditate, to breathe, and again, that time of what are we grateful for, even though there may be some damage that we have to get through as well.
Yeah, and so I do sincerely. I mean, it's with all the people. I laugh at all the hurricane memes. I think they're
Yeah,
funny, but I understand there's people that have really been impacted, and even people hurt by the
absolutely.
storm. So
Right.
so I get it's a serious event, and I do hope anybody impacted by the storm. Another tip: reach out to the Red Cross.
Yes.
If you have trouble, if you need help, reach out to Red Cross. There probably will be food banks that will be helping people in need. So there are some other places and other tips you can go to if you're impacted by this storm. But
Yeah, I would say like FEMA, if it depending on the type of disaster, small business, the business administration also
yeah,
has, support that they have from our small businesses, local charities, community programs, local churches. Don't there are tons of people that are ready to provide that support and help and provide shelter and financial support during that time. We
right,
just have to be humble enough to be able to go and get that support that's needed. It's
right.
okay to ask for that help when we need it.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I don't know. Anything else before we wrap up this episode?
No, man, I'm just grateful and happy that we are all safe, that
Exactly.
we're okay. The one thing I'm like, with the kids being home from school, I'm like getting ready to push them out the door again. Like, go learn something, please.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do have them doing chores in the house because they gotta earn that commission. So it's at least the dogs are walked in or somewhat walked, and the and the dishwasher is empty. So we're getting some wins there.
Yeah, my kids help me clean off the back pad, and they're gonna help clean out now the patio to put
Sure,
everything back on the back pad. I'm actually taking them to a friend's house today, so they're gonna spend today at a friend's house, and then we've got our normal weekend plans, and I guess by Sunday we'll be belly aching about having to go back to a
go
normal
back again.
schedule, hopefully.
Oh no, nah, it's okay.
Uh,
We definitely, if we get back to a normal routine, that's a good thing. So I'll take that.
So I'm gonna go hit my magic mind and use that to clean up around the house and clean up around the office. Again, it's magicmind.com/crushing20, and then you use that same code crushing20, and that'll give you 20% off your Magic Mind order. Thank you to Magic Mind. I see a lot more Magic Mind advertisements on the social medias, and
There
I
you
don't
go.
know I don't know if it's because they're intentionally doing a push, or if it's because we mention Magic Mind all the
Right.
time. That's what appears in my feed. It might be a bit of both.
Be both. Okay.
You
I've seen a
can,
few. I definitely see a few I think it's TikTok or Instagram, one of the two. But yeah, I've seen a few advertisements and sponsorships on that as well. So yeah,
yeah,
definitely. When you start using something, you start seeing more of it. I feel like that's
exactly.
the psychology behind it. But I love that.
And unfortunately, we were spared from any real damage from the storm. And I say unfortunately because if we were damaged by the storm, you could make a contribution to patreon.com/crushing debt, and you can give us a little bit of money to help recover from the storm. But because we don't need help recovering from the storm, if you want to send that money to a friend or family member,
Yes.
or Red Cross, or food bank or whatever. But if you are so inclined, patreon.com/crushing debt. We'll put that back into the show. And then again, our friend Sam Cohen with Attorneys First Insurance. Sam does not do property insurance. So Sam is not the one you want to call if you had an issue with your insurance policy. Sam is the one to call if you're an attorney or title company and you need malpractice insurance. That's where you reach out to Sam at attorneysfirst.com. Anything else, George?
Exactly. No, man, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody. Stay safe out there. Hopefully, folks can hopefully at that time just be safe and obviously help each other out when there's in this time of need. But like I said, just
Oh,
get that budget going.
you had a softball there that you totally whiffed at.
Did I? Oh no, what did
Yeah,
I?
you could have said hopefully people have more money at the end of the month
There you
rather
go.
than month at the end of the money.
Ah, almost there,
So
almost there. One day, man. Like
almost.
I said, I'll get the courage to say it right.
There you go. So be safe, clean up. If anyone needs anything related to this storm, if you have any questions, you can always contact me or George, and to the extent we can help you, we absolutely will. But I think that'll do it for this week's episode, and we will talk to you in next week's episode of the podcast.